In today's video, I'm going to talk about one Ellucian product called Ethos Integration. The reason I'm talking about this, let's go to the next slide. Because in university, college, or schools, they all have some requirement when they use the Ellucian product called binary. All the information for student advisors, faculties, financial and information are saved in the binary database. But however, in university itself, on your left side, they always have a lot of different applications, customer applications. Try to use the data here. The issue is how to get data. You try to create your web service, but then you need some data, right? You have to pull data from here. The binary database is not a simple thing, so they have tables, views, objects, thousands of objects. So, which one to use? Do you know it? If you try to manually do it, what you're going to do is first say, use a SQL code, right, to get data. Put data in the buffer, and then you probably have a JavaScript or HTML to create some web page and put you in your applications and manually do it. Okay, let me ask you questions. The first, do you know binary database tables well? They have thousands of objects. Do you know about it or no? Schemas. Well, you say I know some of them. Okay, you maybe do something, but not all of them, right? The second, do you know the relation of database object well? Because if it's a relational database, you maybe can figure it out using the foreign key and the primary key, the way to find it. If the database is not a relational database, it is an object-oriented database or object relational database. You even cannot find the relation on database level. Everything is handled in middle tier, right? The third one asks you, in your school's IT team, do you have the binary data modeler DBA, which is a designed whole database? I doubt. I really doubt. The reason is it's confidential for Ellucian. They don't want to give the information to outside. So, if you do not have it, how can you manually do it? Right? It's very hard because a lot of people try to do this. Ellucian think, okay, let's do something to help them. Here's they figure out. Or it looks like a very simple thing to solve. We have database and object here, right? Customer application needed. What we're going to do is Ellucian and customer. Let's discuss about it. We have some data model. I'm going to put your data in data model. Say, for example, I have a student. Student have two columns, one ID, another one's student name, right? I publish this data model. You know data model. So according to data model, I put the data for the student data here. When you know what data model it is, okay, one is ID, another one is username, student name, so I can get from this data model directly, right? So first we have agreement. What data model we're going to use between us. Another thing to Ellucian think about it. You probably don't want to write some code yourself, or we can use something called API, Application Programming Interface. What it does is, I written some package. This package, we're using it to put data in the data model, this location. And you also use this package to pull it to get it, right? So if you can do that way, then it should be really easy for we have agreed on the data, how we set up the data, and then we talk about what way we're going to using. We're going to use it to get data or push data. In that case, we can solve this issue. People can get data from database. Even they don't need to know what's a table or table relation. They don't need to know it. They just say, according to data model, what are we going to do, right? So The APIs are pretty good. They have when they set up, they probably have the get, post, put, delete functionality. But also, according to your web-based things, so they can use some language called JSON, Java-based, or XML. It's a popular one. So this audit everything is this idea is good. It's not really hard to dealing with. Then we start working on it. Finally, the simple idea, simple solution turns out it's a nightmare. It's a really big system. On your left side, that's your university custom applications. And then on your right side, you have to set up everything here to be able to work with ethos integration. But on your left side and right side, everything is on university local. But one code ethos integration server, that one is on the Ellucian. In Ellucian AWS, Amazon Web Service. So, ethos integrations generally, you as a client, you really don't need to know how they set up internally. You have to know what's the data model, what it looks like, the date, how they send, what is the format they send it. You have to know this. The second, you got a request to Ellucian, say, we like to use the ethos integration. Ellucian is going to set up for you and then send you login, username, the password, also the URL. Inside the ethos integration, they created two tenants for you. One is for test, another one for production. Under here, you can create your BANA application, so other Ellucian application, third-party application, or custom application. So this on the middle side is everything is in Ellucian AWS. You just connect to use it. This one will be per date stored here, and you can take the data to your application side, custom application. But on your right side here, in order to be able to using the ethos integration server, you have to set up everything here. All of them are application servers. You can use all of them as a Tomcat. So here is the BANA system, BANA database, and then you need one called BEP, BANA Event Publisher. Another one, Integration API, Student API, this is the API server. Another one is the EMS server, it's Ellucian Messaging Service server. Another one is the EMA server, which is the Ellucian Messaging Adapter server. When you got all them servers set up, of course, internally they talk to each other, parameter connect to each other, and then if you did everything right, it's going to work. Let's talk about it piece by piece to see how we do the installation and the configuration. For the purpose I'm not going to talk about is to try to give you some idea how to lay out your system, and then you understand on the high level so you can really do it, the details tasks. Here's the first one. The ethos integration server layout, right? We got this one, how it works. Here is the BANA database with the date. You have a BANA event publisher. This server does two things. One is using the AQ in the database to connect to here and capture the date change from the BANA database. And then they publish the date change to a queue. The queue they're using is EMS. EMS, the messaging service, actually is the queue for the message. They queue the message here, waiting for process. So here's the EMS, EMA, and API server, this one. So EMA is the one. get your data using API method and pull this one to Ethos Integration tenant here. In tenant, you will know when you log in here, if you got access, you can find, you can create applications like say button integration or another one. So the button different applications you put here, right? So this is how it flows. Database, BEP to get it, push to queue, in the queue, stay there, and then EMA server, which is adapter server, it processed the message and using the API is integration and student API, and then put into here. Is how it flow. So by now, it's very simple to introduce how it's in for each of them, how to install it and set it up. First, the BEP. BEP is a two-tier system. They have database object. They also have web servers. So this is your database. A database inside is you can use Oracle database, which is better database fine, but you have to have some like a BEP database object. Right? Underneath, there's a capture the data using AQ to communicate with your application server, which is located on Tomcat. You can use WebLogic, it's fine, but Tomcat is the one we're going to go. So the BEP server, using Tomcat, we do it. We configure, deploy it, and then the main things that we call RabbitMQ. So remember the last diagram I showed you. Publisher will be post things in the queue. The queue is a RabbitMQ. In the RabbitMQ, we got deploy the WAR file. The WAR file is application. BEP itself is the web-based application. Yeah. And then the publisher publish date. Get the date pushed here, right? So this one are going to feed called Ellucian Messaging Service. The Tomcat server queue the message when you did everything here, it got here. So this is the one server, Tomcat application server, is the whole the BEP. So next one is to go to the EMS. Here's very simple. You install Tomcat. The first one, the configure, you unzip the file, and then you got RabbitMQ. This can deploy the web. Now said configure connection EMS. Configure to do it. Is RabbitMQ is here. Is not in on the BEP server. I'm going to talk about that later. Deploy the WAR file is the BEP WAR file. Okay. When you go to EMS, let's talk about the EMS first. Okay. Here go to the queue called EMS. Right. EMS setup. EMS, we install it on the Linux. Also use the Tomcat. Installation is not hard. You unzip the EMS package, you download it, unzip it, 2 yum install. One install ER long, another one install with RabbitMQ. When you finish installation, configure it. You're running this script to configure. When you configure, you probably have something, parameters to set up quite a lot. And also port everything to open. And then you better to do is SSL for this queue. And then the communication will be securely guaranteed. And then you log in the RabbitMQ. When the service up, you log in RabbitMQ administration to do the setup. So the next thing, so when we got this one up, right, installed, the next things for the EMS is to configure for BANA. The way you're doing it, they use the one Ellucian product called Navigator, Application Navigator. Call this Java page. There's a 24 parameter setup, such a URL connected somewhere. When you're done this one, this server is set up. The next one will be the EMA setup, which is adapter. Adapter purpose is try to process this information in the queue and also using the API and sorting information sent to the client. The client for him is it is actually sent to Ellucian Integration Server. We are still using Tomcat server here, and then for installation, we are doing is first you download the package, unzip the package, running this script. Same thing like EMS, but they're doing different things. When you're running this one, you put in the informations, it create file, the WAR file. You deploy the WAR file, which is this EMA application. When you got this one, you configure two things. Configure, connect to the student API server, connect to integration API server. Here's how it is. You have a Linux to Tomcat server holding your API, right? Two of them, integration API and the student API. Your connection between these two using, of course, one URL, right? Username, password. Another one is called API keys. There's two keys. One is here for the student API, another one for integration API. So when you configure this part, and it was done. So now you already know we installed the EMS, EMA, BP server, right? Here is the API server. API server have two things. One is the WAR file for integration API. Another one for student API. We install this on the Tomcat server. When you start up, this also is the one server startup. They talk between these two Tomcat servers, communicate each other. So by now the system the installation is done. When we got this, all the system was done, right? By now you probably got big ideas. Hey, how we can do this, right? Here is the detail commands. It's 14 steps you got to follow. Inside it, just we talk about. What do we talk to give you high level the architecture, how this ethos integration set up. Here is the details. I give you a high level 14 tasks. You just follow this one. You can finish all of them. The first one is to prepare for ethos integration. What you're doing is to, because it's prepare these most important things. The reason is you are going to deal with ethos integration worksheet. Once you write down everything what you need, the username, password, port you're going to use, and the URL you're going to use, everything. They are putting the different servers make the work. The second one is called install BANA software. What it does is, if you see this part, it gives you a lot of things. Actually, two things you have to do. One is a DB upgrade, another one is message center installation. So DB upgrade is the one generally is for database for each application. By now Ellucian have two parts. They separate database DB upgrade from application upgrade. So each DB upgrade like 90921345 going to support different level applications. Depends what you need to, you have to do this one. Message center installation is another task. The other is just a list required component, actually is described later. So the next one for number 3 is the install Ellucian Messaging Service. We already mentioned this, how to do it before, right? Number 4, install BANA Event Publisher. We already talked about it. The number 5, the install BANA Ethos API DB upgrade. This DBI upgrade actually is the same things like here. DB upgrade. Here is just mentioned what the main task it is. Set up the BANA Ethos API and support BANA software. Is the task to install and configure API server. Remember the top character we're talking about, there's 2 of them. Application to deploy, one is integration API, another one is student API. Right? The next one will open the port between these APIs, the BEPs, the RabbitMQ port has to be open, all of them. Number 8, create a BANA Ethos API user. This one is for security overview only. You can log in the web to see what you're going to do if you're trying to make it better, what you can do. Number 9 is generate the BANA GUID. This one is the key for the whole Ethos integration to work. Because under Ethos integration, everything connect using these GUIDs. So you're doing it using Navigator, you log in the Navigator. This is generally the Java submit Java page. Using this one, you submit the job called GUID jobs. It's going to create this GUID. Number 10 is the API configure setting in the BANA. This is informational. You can go through all of the configuration setting parameters. Number 11, set up BANA in Ethos integration. Here is the one task you're doing on AWS in Ellucian side. You log in the Ellucian Ethos Integration Server. You create applications. Student API application and integration API application there. 12, set up a BANA with the data access. This for if later when you look into more about integration, Ethos integration, there's 3 ways to do it. One is make it better using GraphQL. If you're not going to use it, forget about it. If you use it, you have to look into this part, how to set up. Number 3 is special EMS setting in BANA. This we already talking about it before. This actually is the API Management Center, Ethos, and then RabbitMQ, and also integration connection. So only information special setup in the BANA. You set up this to use the EMS. That's one to configure, deploy Ellucian Messaging Adapter EMA. Right? This we talked about before. You configure it, deploy the WAR file. Until now, if you did everything right, then the system could work. So, because this project is pretty complex, not like beginning, people think it's easy to dealing with, and then I found that people think it's hard. The reason I'm put everything here is to give you some idea to follow in high level. Hopefully it helps. Thanks for watching.